Welcome back to Talk Takers. Ready for another earnings call deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. Today we're dissecting Inovio Pharmaceuticals. Their Q3 2024 report just dropped. It's November 14th, hot off the press.
Let's break it down. Numbers, stock reactions, you know the drill. And hey, maybe we'll even cook up a speculative trade idea later on. Just for fun, of course.
Love it. But first, got to set the scene. Inovio, ticker symbol INO, closed at $4.77, down 3.64% for the day. But here's the twist. After hours trading, it jumped to $5.
Yeah, bit of a head scratcher, right?
Totally. Makes you wonder what went down during that call.
My bet's on some good news, probably tied to their big thing right now. INO-3107. It's a potential treatment for a rare condition, recurrent respiratory papillomatosis, RRP for short.
RRP. Need a little help on that one.
Sure. Basically, imagine growths in your airways, kind of like warts. That's RRP. It's caused by certain types of HPV, human papillomavirus, and often it needs multiple surgeries to manage. Each surgery has its own risks, so even cutting back on how many you need. Huge for patients.
Gotcha. Fewer surgeries, less risk. I'm starting to see why this is a big deal.
It is, and that's where INO-3107 comes in. Inovio's phase 12 trial. Really promising results. 81% of patients needed fewer surgeries. Some didn't need any at all after the treatment.
81%. No wonder the stock perked up after hours. That's impressive.
There's more. They also released some in-depth data about the immune system. It explains exactly how INO-3107 works on a cellular level, shows how it targets those specific HPV types.
So we're not just seeing that it works, we're actually starting to understand the why.
Right. This data was presented at some major medical conferences too, and it's getting prepped for publication in a peer-reviewed journal. Adds a lot of weight to it, yeah.
Huge for scientific validation, and for investors too, I bet. Builds confidence.
For sure. But you know how it is in biotech? Always a but.
Always a catch. Lay it on me.
Manufacturing hiccup. With a part of their Selectra device, that's how they deliver the treatment.
Okay, so a delay. How bad is it?
They're on it, working on a fix, but it might push back their BLA submission, biologics license application, to the FDA.
That's the final hurdle before it can hit the market, right? Like the green light.
You got it. So yeah, it'll be delayed getting to market, and that means the competition's got to be on their minds.
Speaking of, I did hear about another company working on something similar. Are they breathing down Inovio's neck?
Precigen, they are in the same space, developing a similar treatment. But Inovio thinks their data is better, broader effectiveness, they say, works across more types of RRP, and less hassle for patients, maybe fewer doses or less invasive. We'll see how it all plays out.
A real biotech race. Love it. So INO-3107 is definitely the main event, but anything else interesting in the earnings call?
They talked about some other stuff in their pipeline, like INO-3112 for throat cancer, big unmet need there. And they stressed they're being careful with money, which is always a good sign for investors.
So they're not putting all their eggs in one basket. Smart move. And what about their cash situation? Can they keep the lights on with this device delay?
Looks like they have enough to last into Q3 2025. Gives them some breathing room to figure out the manufacturing issue and keep moving forward with their research. Yeah, it gives them a pretty decent runway. But let's be honest, what everyone's really waiting for is that outrageous trade idea I mentioned.
Oh, absolutely. Let's have some fun. Time to put on those speculation hats. Imagine everything goes perfectly for Inovio.
All right, so they fixed that device issue and their durability data. Stellar. That's the data showing how long the treatment effects last, right?
Right, they said that's coming by year end.
Exactly. Now picture this. A big pharmaceutical company, big pharma as we call them, sees how great INO-3107 is, and they want it. They make an acquisition offer.
Oh, an acquisition. Things just got real interesting.
Right, and it's not out of the question. Big pharma is always hunting for promising treatments, especially in areas like RRP where there's a clear need, not a lot of competition. Plus, they'd get Inovio's whole DNA medicine platform, not just this one treatment.
Okay, I'm seeing where you're going with this. So how do we turn this into an actual trade? An outrageous one, like you said.
Well, we could just buy the stock, but that's a bit too basic for us, don't you think?
Definitely. Got to be bolder than that. Give me the big play.
How about this? Long-term call options. We're talking call options with a strike price way higher than where the stock is now.
Hold on, let's break that down a bit. For the folks who aren't options experts, what's a call option exactly?
Sure. Think of it like a coupon. It gives you the right, but not the obligation, to buy shares of a stock at a certain price. We call that the strike price, on or before a specific date. You're betting that the stock price is going to climb higher than that strike price.
Okay, I'm with you so far. So we're betting this acquisition happens, Inovio's stock goes through the roof, goes past our strike price. Then we exercise the option, buy those shares at the lower price, sell them high, profit.
Exactly. And the cool thing about options, leverage. You control more shares with less money upfront.
Sounds a bit risky, though. What if things don't go as planned?
Yeah, there's that. If the acquisition doesn't happen, or the stock doesn't hit the strike price before the option expires, poof, you could lose everything you put in. High risk, high reward, you know?
Not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. But hey, that's what makes it outrageous.
Exactly. But seriously, before anyone goes jumping into call options, gotta add the disclaimer. This is all hypothetical. Always, always do your own research. Talk to a financial advisor. Don't put in more than you can afford to lose. This is not financial advice.
Good advice.
Yeah.
We're just playing around here, folks. Don't bet the farm. Now, getting back to something you mentioned before, Inovio's DNA medicine platform. You said it has uses beyond just this RRP treatment, right? What else can they do with that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. DNA medicine is a whole fascinating field. Huge potential. It basically means putting engineered DNA sequences into cells to get the body's own immune system to fight the disease. It's like giving your cells a software update targeted to specific threats.
Okay, that's a cool way to think about it. So how's Inovio using this tech? What are they working on?
They've got a whole bunch of DNA-based treatments in development, not just for infectious diseases like HPV, but for cancers too, and other stuff. Head and neck cancer, glioblastoma, even HIV, they're looking at it all.
Wow, that's impressive. So this platform could really change how we treat a lot of different diseases.
That's the hope. And Inovio's considered a leader in this area. Their technology, it lets them develop and test new treatments fast. And they've already got some promising results from clinical trials.
So there's more to the story than just INO-3107. They're building a whole pipeline. That's pretty exciting stuff.
It really is. It reminds us that when you invest in biotech, you're not just betting on one product. It's the potential of the whole platform, addressing a whole range of unmet medical needs.
Great point. It's the bigger picture, the long game. Now, before we wrap this up, got to talk about competition again. You mentioned Precigen working on an RRP treatment too. How does Inovio compare? Can they hold their own?
That's the million-dollar question, right? Inovio seems pretty confident. They say their data's better, broader effectiveness, works against more types of HPV. They also claim their treatment is easier on patients, maybe fewer doses or less invasive. But Precigen is moving forward too. It's going to be a close race to see who gets to market first.
A real biotech showdown. Love it. How do you see it playing out? Who's going to win?
Tough to say for sure. A few things will decide it, I think. First, the clinical data, whose treatment works better and is safer. Second, the FDA, who can get through that approval process faster. And third, marketing, who can get those partnerships, get the word out, get the treatment to the patients.
So it's not just the science, it's the business side too.
Exactly. And that's where it gets really interesting. Inovio has a lot going for them. Promising data, great track record with DNA medicine, and their finances are solid. But they got to execute perfectly to stay ahead. No room for error.
This is going to be a fun race to watch. Going back to something you said earlier, Inovio's phase 12 trial. Some patients needed no surgery at all after the INO-3107 treatment.
Yeah. That's amazing, right? We call it a functional cure. Maybe not getting rid of the virus completely, but no more interventions. You're done.
That's incredible. Think about what that means for patients. No more surgeries, no more worrying about those growths coming back. That's the kind of impact biotech can have. Real life-changing stuff.
It is, and it reminds us why we're in this field. Pushing the boundaries of science to create treatments that actually make a difference in people's lives.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Speaking of potential game changers, let's circle back to that outrageous trade idea. We talked about call options, but any other ways to play this acquisition? Something even more out there.
Well, if you're feeling really adventurous and you're comfortable with even more risk, there's warrants.
Warrants. Gotta admit, I'm not as familiar with those. What are they and how are they different from options?
Think of them as long-term options, but issued by the company itself. They usually last longer than regular options, sometimes years. And like options, they give you the right to buy shares at a certain price in the future. That same strike price.
Okay, so how would this work with Inovio? Walk me through it.
Let's say Inovio knows they're going to grow a lot. Maybe from INO-3107, maybe an acquisition. They decide to issue warrants. Now, those warrants would probably have a strike price way higher than where the stock is now. Shows they're confident about the future.
I'm following along.
Oh.
So if the stock takes off because of good news or a buyout, These warrants become super valuable, right? You can
Yeah.
buy shares cheap compared to the market price.
You got it, like a golden ticket to a rocket about to launch. But, and this is a big but, warrants have their downsides too. Just like options, they can expire worthless if the stock doesn't reach that strike price in time. And because they're often issued at a premium, you're paying more upfront compared to buying the stock directly.
Even riskier than call options, huh? It's like the ultimate gamble on Inovio's future.
Exactly. But remember, all hypothetical here, just exploring ideas. This is not financial advice. Always do your research, talk to a financial advisor, and never risk more than you can afford to lose.
Words to live by. Biotech investing, it's a wild ride. Potential riches, but gotta be careful. Understand the risks.
Absolutely. A journey for those who like a little excitement
Well,
and can handle the ups and downs.
you know what I really find fascinating about this deep dive is that we've covered so much. Inovio's financials, their clinical trials, their DNA medicine platform, even gone a bit wild with trade ideas. But at its core, it's a story about innovation, pushing science to make breakthroughs that can really improve people's health.
You said it perfectly. And that's what makes biotech so captivating. It's science, business, and real human impact all mixed together.
It's easy to get caught up in the numbers and stock prices, but we're really talking about easing suffering, offering hope, pushing the boundaries of medicine.
Absolutely. That's why we keep coming back for more, seeing these amazing stories of human ingenuity and the chance to make a real difference in the world.
It has been a wild ride. I think our listeners got a great look inside Inovio.
I hope so. And this is just the starting point for your own research. Dive into the SEC filings, check out the clinical trial data, talk to the experts. The more you know, the better your decisions will be.
Couldn't agree more. You know, one last thing to think about before we go. We talked a lot about INO-3107 and how it can treat RRP. But what if we thought bigger?
Oh, I like where you're going. You're thinking prevention.
Exactly. RRP is caused by those specific HPV types. Could Inovio use their DNA platform to make a vaccine, one that actually prevents those infections?
Now, that's a great question. They've already shown they can target HPV. With INO-3107, could they do something similar? A vaccine that gets your immune system ready to fight those HPV types before they even have a chance to cause problems?
That would be incredible.
Yeah.
Especially for people who are at high risk for RRP. We could be talking about wiping out the disease completely.
Imagine that. No more RRP, no more worries about those growths or surgeries. That's the kind of impact that really drives us in biotech.
Reminds us that innovation doesn't just solve problems. It creates a better future. It pushes the limits of what's possible.
Well said. So, to everyone listening, stay curious, keep learning, and never stop asking those what-if questions. Biotech is full of amazing possibilities. Who knows what's just around the corner?
And that's a wrap on another Talk Tickers episode. Thanks for joining us as we explored Inovio Pharmaceuticals. Until next time, keep those earnings calls coming. And remember, do your own research. This is not financial advice.